Hello, everyone, and welcome to our astrology chat. Today, we are talking about the earth signs. We've got Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, and we are going to be led by my friend Kimberly, who is an expert in astrology. She's going to tell us all about our beautiful earth signs today.
Yes, our grounded, practical, reliable, loyal earth signs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yes, with yeah, yeah. Yeah, we're finishing up our four-part series
Hmm.
today. Finally. All right. Well, you have clicked on this because you are our friend, and you're loyal, and or you are an earth sign and have a earth sign rising or a heavy earth sign placement in your chart, and that has drawn you to this conversation. So fantastic. Sage, do you have any questions before we start about anything?
Well, one that came to mind when you were saying that, let's say that you have an earth sign as a moon or a rising. Do you think that this chat would still be beneficial for
Oh,
somebody listening?
sometimes more so. Yes, because the moon is how you, to simplify it, the moon is how you feel things and how you like the lens that you filter your emotions through, and then your rising is the mask you wear in public. And so very often if you are talking to somebody who's into astrology, they might guess your rising, which is the ascendant, where the sun was on the horizon when you were born. I feel like that's the right way to say that. And or they might guess your moon because
Hmm.
you might present with that body language and that type of reasoning more than your actual sign. Sometimes. So
That makes sense. I have
yeah,
Capricorn rising and I lean into that a lot.
yes, you do.
Yes.
Yeah. I
So listening to
heard,
earth signs is beneficial for me too.
yeah. Well, and we can start with Capricorn. Typically, we look at the chart. People will talk like in order as you see it in the astrology, in the zodiac, which starts with Aries, but we'll just use the year and we'll start with Capricorn, which is perfectly placed at the top of the year in January, and because they are the get shit done sign. I heard it explained earlier. It was so funny the way she said. I was listening to a video about earth signs, and you listened to it as well. She said, I need to do A, B, and C so that I can get,
X, Y, and Z.
X, Y, and Z done.
Yeah.
Do not come in between A and B and screw me up. Like I have to do A, B, C because I want X, Y, Z.
Hmm.
That's my goal. And I don't want anything in my way to getting to my goal. And if you come in and start goofing off and mess me up, or stop my progress, it's really going to bother me because I am a finisher. I'm a closer. I'm ambitious and I'm successful, and I do not want you or anything to get in the way of me doing things in an orderly fashion. Um, earth signs in general understand that it takes time for things, that there are tried and true ways of doing things, and that being logical and practical, um, typically you'll always get your desired result. They're not boring people. They just really like structure. Like for example, Capricorn rules the skeletal system. They're like the foundation that you have to build in order to build a house. And they and also the goat who can climb up the side of a mountain. Like they're extremely ambitious, and they're capable of reaching the top and reaching the goal. Um, Capricorns can be really rigid because and come off very bossy because they do understand how to achieve what they're setting out to do, and most people don't operate with that same commitment to ambition, and so they can tend to be very cold or mean towards people that get in the way, just in when it comes to their drive. they're kind, caring people. Um, but if you catch them at the wrong time, or you get in, you try to change things up or offer another way or suggest an alternative, that can actually feel like a trigger to a Capricorn because they're so set on success, and like they would be an excellent stockbroker, or
Hmm.
someone who is his I was reminded earlier that earth signs are incredibly good at manifesting because they're willing to funnel energy and thought and affirmations and hard work into achieving their goal. And so they make excellent manifestors. They're also willing to allow the time it takes for those goals to manifest. Um, yeah. So Capricorns are like typically that, well, they're ruled by Saturn. Saturn is the disciplinarian, like our friend Shauna Ava says. It's like everybody's fooling around and then dad walks in the room and everybody stops and they're quiet and they're like they realize they're in trouble because they're not doing what they're whatever because they took a break, whatever it is. They Capricorns tend a lot of businesses that need very strategic, discipline type bosses that'll end up being a Capricorn. Um, the cat Quite a few Capricorns that I know have very good senses of humor.
Hmm.
Let me interject that because I know I'm making them sound like this taskmaster with no forgiveness. It's
Yeah.
um quite a few I know are extremely funny, quick-witted. The men that I have experienced are all very they're they come up with good, how would I say, their brain is almost like an engineering brain, and
Hmm.
they're good craftsmen. They're good at fixing things. They're good at coming up with ideas and fixing things, and they will diligently work through. But quite a few of the men that I've met have a problem with their own self-reliance. It's all of them that I know, and this is just in my life, self-sabotage. And so they can be extremely talented and extremely gifted and very intelligent, and for some reason they will get in their own way more than the other men that I know.
Like because they're so hyper independent, do you
It
think
might
that they're
be,
not asking for support or
yes, and I think they also hold themselves to such high standards they can't even accomplish what they
so then
feel is,
then we
yeah,
then we feel inferior, if you will, or
yeah, yeah.
yeah.
The women, now the women I know that are Capricorns are all extremely successful. So I don't know if I don't know why I've in my personal life I've experienced that, but the women I know are extremely successful. Like I have a friend who graduated high school early and was a full-blown psychologist with a master's degree like before 25. Like she's super motivated. Um, all earth signs have a tendency to be more materialistic. I have always been under the impression it's because they like to see they work really hard and they want to reap the benefit and the
The
reward.
fruits of their labor.
Yeah, they also understand that if you spend more money, you typically get better quality. Um, Capricorns aren't as showy. Like I would say the most showy of all the signs with materialism would be Taurus, because they have the tendency to be hedonistic and want to show off their wealth and then luxuriate in it as well. Capricorns typically, now your our charts have 9 planets influencing us, but Capricorns will typically have a way more conservative appearance. Um, where see, like you, that doesn't show up for you at all as
Right.
your
We lean
rising.
into the Aquarius on that
Yeah,
on
yeah,
that end over there. Yeah.
right. But a typical Capricorn is no nonsense. Practical haircut, efficient, very little makeup, um, nice clothes. Like they'll shop at a nice place and they'll wisely spend their money on, five extremely nice shirts instead of 20, like meh, maybe, um, more on the taupe side, more on the natural fibers and aesthetics, black, white, gray, and tan. Like I bet most Capricorns, like a true Capricorn, I bet most of their closet is full of that and all good quality uh, clothing that will, and they'll get them dry cleaned and they'll take care of their items, and their items will, they won't replace them until they have to, but they're probably not going to have to replace them for a long time because they invested in really good quality items. That's the same for their house. Typically, I would say Capricorn would be a homeowner as quickly as possible. Like they want that foundation, they want the stability. They are usually good with their hands, and they're usually good at. I have one friend who is a phenomenal artist. His talent it's so impressive. Um, and good art takes a while, so
Mhm.
he'll but then so he would be a good example. Brilliant artist. He has gone into business with what he is naturally good at, but as an artist, it is very hard to make money unless, you just win the lottery with that or get lucky with that. And so he is still committed to what he's good at and has made a business out of it, but it's a huge conflict for him because it's hard to be successful that way, you know?
Yeah, which can probably bring a lot of stress into your art, which art is
Yeah.
not supposed to be stressful. It's supposed to be
No, a
flow
flow. Yeah,
and
flow
a
state.
vibe. Yeah.
Yeah, but he did start a Twitch account and had a huge account with it where he people were watching him do his art. Like he turned his creativity and his um creative flow, which is not the first job that an earth sign would pick. He turned that into a sustainable business. Um, yeah. So there's that. Um, a relationship with a Capricorn is they're going to pick someone who listens to them. I mean, it's
That's
that's
where
there's
my Capricorn tendencies come in.
yeah,
I'm like,
yeah,
listen, I'm running a tight ship over here.
yeah,
I need you to do what I tell you to do.
yeah. So a Capricorn's partner is typically, if you were going to say that one person has a more dominant and one has, the Capricorn's always going to be the more dominant. Not always, but typically. When Capricorn women are with a more dominant male, they can definitely lose themselves in that relationship and get very um well, they get lost, they get depressed, they can get they can feel forgotten. Um so watch who you pair yourself with.
I can attest to that. I was with a very
Yeah.
dominant other person. It did not work out.
Yeah.
And
Eh,
I did get really lost in that, like very much so, because I didn't have that self-structure.
yeah. Well, and Capricorns are cardinal signs, which is a me first sign, which doesn't have to be from ego. It just means that you're good at making decisions, you're good at setting your own pace, figuring out how you want to get there and achieving it and being in charge.
Hmm.
So if you have the tendency to be like that and you end up with someone with a stronger personality who mutes a lot of that, you will feel like lacking purpose because what you're best at is not being utilized. It's not allowed to come through. And so there might be some sub behaviors from that, like eating when no one's looking, or stealing, or hiding things, and having a secret shopping issue, or something, which
Like
would be,
to create a sense of control
yeah,
that you're not getting like in the relationship.
yeah, yes. Because in an interesting way, a Capricorn is kind of all or nothing. So I either get to achieve greatness, but if I'm blocked from that, even if I'm the one that's blocking it, sometimes it's just easier to give up because it's all or nothing,
Hmm.
right? Okay.
No, that makes sense. I mean, I'm very much that way too. Like I if I don't see that I'm going to be successful at something, I'm not going to continue that venture.
Yeah.
Like I'm not going to invest time and energy in that. It's either all or nothing.
Yeah. So
Which can
imagine,
be a blessing or a curse. Like
yeah. So
right?
staying in a relationship where you're not being honored, like
Hmm.
you'll stay way too long because you don't go into something lighthearted.
Right,
Like
you're
you
trying to
go,
be successful at the relationship. So
yeah,
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 that's where the curse comes in because you're like, oh, maybe I'm going to double down in this thing, like to try
yeah,
and make it successful.
yeah.
But
You're
yeah,
not going to be able to fix it.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And Capricorns do have they can have a really bad temper. I've seen it more in the men. And just they'll just say very cold, mean things. They have a very cold demeanor when they're achieving things because they won't let anything get in their way, or and when they're arguing. And they will argue because they do feel like they have the right answer, which a lot of times they do, but it's because they're not willing to um, try something different or take someone else's suggestion or, get out of the box because the box makes sense. The box has worked in the past. The box has blueprints and plans. And if I follow this, I'm going to achieve, and so when someone else comes in who thinks outside the box and they're trying to make it work, it can get very tumultuous, and unfortunately, they can just be so mean about it. And the person and they'll typically pair themselves with someone who is more forgiving and more understanding and less dominant, and so that person can get run over by a Capricorn too. So,
Who do you think the
but
best pairing would be for a Capricorn?
well, I mean, a lot of times it's your opposite sign, but the opposite sign is Cancer, which can work. It can definitely work if they are both evolved versions of themselves, because the Cancer is going to help them feel things, and they're going to feel loved and appreciated by a Cancer. And a Cancer loves, like, if the Capricorn builds the house and has a really successful job and can set up the foundation for the relationship, the Cancer is going to thrive because they get to decorate the house and they get to cook the food and have children and nurture, and like they're really good at that. That's not all they are, but they're really good at that. So as long as they are both running things to the best of their ability, and are they've made an agreement with each other that, like, you go do that and I'm going to go do this, it's when they're it's that middle area it's going to get messy.
Hmm.
Because if the Capricorn comes home in a bad mood and just wants to boss people around, they're going to really hurt the Cancer, who's going to pull back, and then they're going to punish them with silence or cancel all of their accounts to something, or like they're going to withdraw and punish. And but the Capricorn's a punisher, and so they're going to take that and just be they're going to be like, oh, you're going to punish me, well, I'm going to punish you worse. Like it
It's
can
like a
get,
vortex.
yeah, it can get really bad. But if they have other signs in their charts that are compatible, and they have a good communication, and the Capricorn's not too cold that the Cancer feels hurt and triggered and sensitive, and if the Cancer's not too um, overbearing and clingy and needy, um, then it's going to work. We do, if the things that we haven't worked on well enough, we do seek that out in others to not fulfill us. So a Cancer could find a Capricorn to for that self-fulfilling prophecy of I'm never going to be enough for someone, no, someone's never going to love me totally, and that's what they're going to get from a Capricorn because they have a cold side. So as long as they can, if they go in with their eyes open, it's actually a really good pairing. And then you can do that every 3 signs. So the next, so it would be Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces. Is it every other sign? Um, Aries. Yeah, I just forgot. I forgot if it's every other sign or every 3 signs. I think it's every other sign you're pretty compatible with. Um, but they're gonna run over a Pisces. So I wouldn't. It can happen, but the only way that's gonna work is if a Pisces wants to be rescued, and then the Capricorn rescues them. But but then they're an Earth sign, so the Earth signs do they're way more compatible with water signs and other Earth signs. It might be kind of a boring life if they're with another Earth sign, but at the same time, all their needs are met.
Hmm.
So one person's boring is another person's like, oh my God, I can relax and just, I don't have to worry about the things I've always worried about before.
There's
Because
a lot of stability being with a Capricorn.
Capricorn does not want to run around put someone else's fires out all the time. So they're not going to get together with a Sagittarius. No, no, you know,
If you want somebody that's just focused in their endeavors and just
yeah,
making sure everything's taken care of,
yeah.
Capricorn.
Great sense of humor.
No drama.
Yeah, great, and well, there's a lot to be said to have somebody who likes to help you figure out things, and they're good at crafting and building, and um it's a conservative, stern sign, but if that could be that is exactly what some people want and need, and that's okay. There's
Like
nothing wrong.
maybe somebody with like very youthful energy might be good for a
Yeah,
Capricorn pairing because then they provide that kind of like structure and then have the space for that person to just be more in that youthful energy.
yeah,
Because like, oh,
yeah.
you're taking care of everything. I can bring the fun, silly vibes over here and
Well,
the
and
adventurous vibes.
they can be friends with an air sign and a fire sign. Like they can go out and have a good time with them. They just have to be careful to not be judging them the whole time and screwing it up in their own mind and ruining their own relationships, because Capricorns could be extreme. All earth signs are very judgmental, but it's mostly because when the reason a human is judging another human is because they're doing it the way we wouldn't do it,
Hmm.
or they're being self-righteous and they would do that and they're mirroring. But um because a Capricorn does not want to admit that they're it's interesting because like a Taurus is the most stubborn sign, but the Capricorn is the one that doesn't want to budge because they've already thought it through and they understand why systematically this should work better and why logically this should work better, and whatever. And so they can be horrifically judgmental about others inside, and so they're going to make a lot of people feel bad about them. Well, if it's very easy for a Capricorn to make you feel bad about yourself if you give them that power. Not every Capricorn. I'm sorry that most of what I've been saying sounds very negative. Um, but we all have things in ourselves that we need to watch. I have a list of things in my own chart that I need to watch: behaviors, personality traits, habits, all that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, even you talking, like I'm running through my Capricorn rising and like noticing like where I'm having those tendencies in my life because I'm like, yep, I have to
Yeah,
constantly keep those in
yeah.
check. I mean, it's a good reminder of like, hey, these are the shadow aspects, and we're gonna talk about that with
Okay.
all the signs. So,
So that being said, knowing, okay, so when you want to make a bunch of changes in your life and you want to be very productive, what's the first thing you do? You write a list. So take the fact that you're really good at making a list and now funnel it towards something really healthy. Funnel it towards um, deciding that you want a really clean house, which a lot of Capricorns have. And so you can write down all the things that it takes to keep that clean house and now assign them days of the week and have a really beautiful, well written, clear, easy to read chart up on your wall or on your refrigerator or on your phone with all of those, with that list. And that's actually really soothing and satisfying
I
to
love me
have
a
it.
list.
Yeah. So there's a place for everything because so I looked up what I already know, but I just like reminders. So I looked up my grand Earth trine in my chart. I'm an Aquarius with 5 planets in Sagittarius. That right there, with removing everything else, that right there means that I would just literally be sleeping all day, waking up, going to raves, out in a forest, hugging trees, and probably doing hallucinogenics. Like that, fun, but nothing, getting nothing accomplished. Creative, cool, fun, adventure, but getting nothing done. I have a grand earth trine, which is a very positive placement, which means that I am able to manifest. I'm able to plan. Um, I comprehend how to achieve a financial goal, how to choose the right relationships for my life, how to, I'm able to do all that stuff, and it's because of the earth signs and that
Hmm.
trine that I'm able to function. And I still have that creative part of myself that loves adventure and never wants to do anything that anyone else wants to do, and that's fine. That's fine. We Aquarius also shares the Saturn. We share that planet with Capricorn, so we do have a very cold side. We do make a lot of lists. We do better alone more than with other people, and we share that because a lot of things that we achieve as human beings are best done alone with
Yeah, a lot
more
of
like
overlaps over Aquarius
yeah,
and Capricorn energy.
yeah.
Yeah.
um but yeah, so if you know that you have a tendency to want to be more disciplined, more pragmatic, set long-term goals, great. Plan a vacation for a year from today. That's an excellent thing for a Capricorn to do. You have 12 months. How much money does that cost? Okay, now you break it down into 12. You earn and you put this much away. That's really satisfying. And at the end of it, you have this goal that you've reached and you get to go enjoy it. And you get to relax while you're there and feel really good about yourself because you earned it. You earned every penny of this sitting in a lawn chair in some resort somewhere because it's probably going to be really nice where you choose. So, yeah, that's Capricorn. Do you have any questions? Because
I know, I
I
was gonna say with Capricorn, like even with me going on like vacations and adventures and things like that with my Cap rising, like it serves me so much better to do that type of structural system of, okay, I'm gonna plan this out because I've done it the other way with the Aquarius where we're just like kind of fly by the night and then it becomes this whole thing like stress and anxiety. So there are certain things that I'm like, hey, my Capricorn energy is much better suited for certain things
mhm.
like going on
Yes,
vacations.
yes. Understanding yourself is key,
Yeah.
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 Well, like, yeah, yes.
Yeah.
I know it being honest with yourself is so important in every situation. And if you just there's nothing wrong with having a tendency to want to have more time alone, to want if you want to run the show, find someone who doesn't care,
Hmm.
you know? Like find someone that has a lot of mutable presence, and we'll get to Virgo, that is very open to letting someone else make decisions, and they're just there to have a good time. That's okay.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
okay.
oh, go ahead.
No.
I was gonna say before I think we should talk about Virgo next because Taurus is very like giving
Sure.
kind of a Capricorn. But before we get to Virgo, what do you think Capricorn's biggest blessing is? Like maybe biggest blessing in their own life, but then also like the biggest blessing that they bring into the world for other people.
I'm still gonna say structure. Yeah, structure. Like, um, we can't do anything without our skeleton. We can't move. We can't do, we
A
can't,
Loosey goosey.
we can't live anywhere without a foundation. We
Hmm.
can't, um, blueprints are the reason everything gets built, like structure.
Structure, schematics,
Yeah.
blueprints, Capricorn.
Yeah. Well, and like I mean, being a human is like, there's a belief system which I've held for I've merged and flowed with this and kind of pulled things in and out of this, but I do agree that the belief that we create this blueprint for how we want to live our life, what we want to achieve, who we want in it, traumatic events to learn from, big wins, and we create this blueprint. Now, when we get here, we have discernment and we have choices, and we can choose to participate in the events that we sent up, or we can choose, or we can realize that we don't need that because we already got where we don't need that one last traumatic event because we've already finally discovered all the red flags and actually listen to them now. Whatever it is, that blueprint's really important because it gives us a bunch of um it gives us the board game to follow,
Hmm.
but life is going to happen every time we roll the dice and move to the next mark on the board game. And so we need a blueprint to even show up here.
Like your
And that,
astrology chart. I could just imagine like a Capricorn spirit guide being like, okay, this is what we're doing.
yeah, yes, yes. Well, and um if you follow the belief of the zodiac, of us going through every sign to eventually become the most Christ-like, not even in a religious way, but just like people's idea of like a Christ energy is compassionate and all loving and
You're like enlightened, like
forgiving.
all
Okay.
enlightened being.
Capricorn's only two from the end. So somehow we set it up that we wanted to go through all of this and then get a really stern reminder that let's get our shit in order before we step into
Before you
Aquarius
become the Aquarius. Yeah.
and then a Pisces, like the two super evolved, creative, not even here, ethereal signs are at the end. And so there's a stern taskmaster
Hmm.
right before that. It's almost like the, I mean, okay, I don't want this to sound, this is not, not coming from ego, my favorite thing to say. But like, okay, so if we win the lottery in our 20s, that money's gone. That money is gone in like a year. It was really fun. But if we win the lottery in our 50s and we have learned a lot of lessons before we won that money, we're probably going to do some really good stuff with that. We're going to enjoy ourselves, but we're going to make it last. And we're going to know how to invest it. And we're going to take care of other people. And we're going to, like and so I made Capricorn's kind of like that, like, wait, hey, here's a really good reminder of this is, if you want to work, you're going to human really hard. You're going to 3D really hard in this lifetime, but that's going to help you because it's going to build a foundation that you're going to still keep with you once you're ethereal, once you're, what do we call it? Aquarius. What did we say the other day? Um,
Mm.
when you glitch in and out,
Oh, like you're a hologram.
you're a
You're
hologram.
not
Yeah. So
actually here. You're
yeah.
just a hologram. Yeah.
So before you turn into a hologram, you need to be you need to do the real hard, like, set things up for success.
Hmm.
And that is probably the best way to coin a Capricorn, is set things up for success.
Well,
Yeah. So
yeah.
you want to jump to Virgo?
Yeah, let's do like the energies are giving. Let's go into Virgo.
Okay, sure, sure.
Okay.
Okay, and then did you have other questions about
That's it.
Capricorn placement or anything? Okay.
Mm.
All right, so Virgo is a mutable sign, and it I needed this reminder before. It rules the digestive system, whereas Cancer rules the stomach. Virgo rules the spleen and the digestive system. And if you have we all have Virgos in our life. One thing you've probably already noticed is that they're really good with comprehension about nutrition and food and how it affects you. Um, Even if a Virgo is not in the best shape, they're aware of how to be healthy and what the body needs and how it needs to function. Typically, Virgos are very attractive and very balanced, like fit. Like their body is very proportional and their face is typically attractive. A lot of them look like deer. I've always thought like they have these really big
Really big
eyes and
eyes. Yeah.
yeah, and gentle faces, and they have a tendency to be a little more muscular, not like they're working out muscular, but they're just fit.
They're
They're,
very
they're
toned.
yeah, yes, and capable with their bodies, and that's because they are really hard on themselves. So Virgos can have a weight problem, but that would be more when there's a lot of other stuff in their chart that has them eating for comfort. Virgos aren't typically seeking out comfort. They're seeking out ways to prove that they are needed. So they're the sign of the martyr, and they tend to, it's funny. I've always read, oh yeah, Virgo will always take second place. They'll martyr themselves for someone else. All the Virgos I know, I'm just gonna say it, they'll let somebody else do something for them before they'll do something for somebody else. I don't, I just, in my experience, I do have a very good friend who's a hairstylist and a Virgo, and she's lived her entire life helping other people, but she's martyred herself so much that she's been unhappy most of her life because she lets other people take advantage of her. So it can go really wrong in that direction. But the other Virgos that I know hit a point where of course they're kind and compassionate and definitely want to help people, but they're real quick to like sever a relationship, a friendship, a job, or something if it's going to take too much from them. And so that's an
Like
interesting,
it hits a precipice point, and then you're like,
yeah,
okay, now that's too much.
yeah,
And then you're
they
like,
don't want to,
excommunicate.
they don't want to be pushed. They don't want to overextend themselves, which is that's actually healthy. That's setting boundaries. So Virgos are pretty good at setting boundaries. Um, they don't um they just don't want to have to, maybe because they do have the tendency to martyr themselves and they've done it too many times and been unhappy too many times. Maybe they maybe I've just witnessed a lot that have decided I can't do that any longer, and so it'll come off a little abrupt. Uh,
Where do you think the martyrdom comes from? Because that can come from different places depending on like what people have experienced in life. Like sometimes it's
it's the
trying to
little,
earn people's love, and then sometimes it's you don't feel worthy. There's a lot of different reasons
yeah,
for.
I don't know. It's interesting because it's literally they're the sign of the Virgin, it like in the constellation, and it's the martyr. They're always represented as the martyr. Um, I think Mother Teresa was a Virgo, I think. Um, I mean, being a martyr means that you give up your power. Being a martyr, maybe originally, the way we use it anyway, maybe I haven't looked this up, but maybe originally a martyr is somebody who is like agape, that third version of love in Greek, where it's like, I'll let agape is unconditional love. And so you'll literally allow someone's horrific behavior and still love them like a mother.
Hmm.
That's a martyr type
Like
behavior.
trying to love them, like to a point where we would hope that they would change through us overly loving them. Is that what you mean by kind of like that agape
Yeah,
kind of?
which is a trip because Virgos are they're also extreme hypercritical.
Do you think
Hypercritical,
because they
hyper
have like such high expectations of self, like you're talking about
yeah. Well,
hypercritical, like
that
high expectations that they're like,
yeah.
let me let somebody else
Vir
like
Virgo and
take over
Capricorn.
kind of so that like I don't have to like inflict that so much on myself. Does that make sense?
But then they punish themselves internally.
Yeah.
So Virgos and Capricorns are really similar in the sense that they're hypercritical and super detail oriented and efficient and don't want anybody else screwing that up. But the Capricorn will stay in charge and the Virgo will often take second place, which makes it even harder when you have that type of belief system or those behaviors because you'll never ever be happy if you take second place when your values or your expectations are so high.
Right,
You'll
like you have the capabilities to be a leader,
yeah, you'll
but
always find
we're
fault.
willingly taking second place because of high expectations
Yeah,
of self and like feeling like we're not going to make that, so just let somebody else like
yeah,
step into
yeah.
that role. Yeah.
So Virgos don't, sorry about the background noise. Virgos don't tend to be loners. We have a good friend who's a loner,
Hmm.
is a Virgo. They don't tend to be loners. They tend to want to succeed with a partner. Um, and then they're their own worst enemy. They'll judge themselves. They worry about everything. It's the only sign in the entire zodiac that has the most negative description right in the beginning. They worry about everything. They have terrible anxiety and they're hypercritical. So you take those things and you turn them into gifts. My friend that I was referring to before, that's a Virgo, and she's very compassionate. She's a hairstylist. She can cut your bangs so straight, you could you could use them as a ruler.
Hmm.
So Virgos are really good with details, like, and they are perfectionists. So she turned it into something where perfection is held in very high esteem. If you're going to go into fashion or hairstyling or money, numbers,
Something where
and
you
you're
need to be like exact.
yeah, and they're going to be satisfied by that. There's a payoff. There's something to be proud of at the end. Um, and if there's any competition, they can win, you know. Um,
Yeah, I have a Virgo friend and she runs the office at a
mhm.
mechanic shop where there's like a lot of parts, there's just like a lot of moving things, right? And
Yeah.
she running that place. Okay. Yeah.
And her biggest complaints are going to be other people that are messy,
Yeah,
that don't do things the way you're supposed to do
yeah,
them.
that aren't doing the same methods. Yeah.
Yeah. Virgos Virgos are funny. They really do run a tight ship. Like they
She was in the
give
military too. And
yeah,
then she went into
yeah.
fashion. And then she
Oh,
did that. So it's very on brand.
huh. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, they would hold on, I lost my train of thought. Okay, so they run a tight ship. Oh my God. Oh, so they given the opportunity, everything is perfect. Their house is perfect. You can open the cabinet underneath their sink and
Yeah,
everything
her
is
house is
lined up.
clean.
Make it dark in here.
Oh yeah, it just like descended.
No, nothing's changed. Um,
Yeah, her house
Compared,
is
there's
meticulously clean.
yes, yes.
Yes.
Now, most of the Virgos I know are secretly extremely messy. I have an ex-boyfriend who's a Virgo, and I was like, oh, good, finally a partner that would be clean. Oh my God, he was such a pig. But when he left the house, not a hair was out of place. He was perfect. His outfit, he thought about every detail of his outfit. He was really into fashion. His hair was everything. Everything was perfect. But he literally walked out of like chaos that I got stuck with, you know. I remember I used to throw the dirty dishes on his bed. And sorry, I have a loud Sagittarius
It's
that,
okay.
yeah, excuse me. Okay.
We can pause if
So
you need to.
yeah, pause.
Yep. All right, everyone, we are back. Kimberly has some lovely birds in her loft that make a lot of noise. She was taking care of them.
Yeah, everything went off. It was like a bunch of cuckoo clocks just went off in here, and
Yes.
now we're at the top of the hour. It's okay. Okay. So if you want a good workout partner, find a Virgo. They know a lot about nutrition. They will stick to it. They will totally adhere to their routine. Um, Virgos, there's some when you're like I in astrology, you can use the term when you're in power and when you're out of power. So when a Virgo's out of power, they're like a contradiction. They're lazy. Whereas if they're in power, they're super productive. So they can get lazy, they can eat terrible food, and they can um be hypercritical, which is like a bad loop to be in, which we all get in, okay?
Mhm.
Um, so if you have a friend who's a Virgo who is struggling, that's also a good time to be like, hey, I want to do this for myself. You want to do this with me? Because once you both get out of your funk, that is an excellent person who shows up. A Virgo is going to show up and go for those walks. And I was just telling Sage off camera that they often have the tea and some pretty good stories of whether it's their life or something. They're so detail oriented that you're going to get these really good long conversations, and if they're telling you a story, you're going to get all the details, which is excellent if you like. I love to walk. That's like my main form of exercise. Find a Virgo. You're going to get a story every time. You're going to know everything that happened, and they're entertaining. They're funny.
You're
Yeah.
good for hot girl manifestation walks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some are stunningly beautiful. Um, so if you want to hold your bar high and match the energy of someone who really cares about their skin and the way they eat and the way their body looks and the way their clothes look on their body, like if that's what you're aiming for, a Virgo, an Aries or a Virgo, but a Virgo especially is going to stick with it. So if you want to bring stability into your life and um, commitment and showing up and sticking to a routine, a Virgo's a really, really good friend. And they'll help you balance the books too and help give you tips on cleaning your house. Now, Virgos and Capricorns have to be careful not to be so critical that the people that they love, that they genuinely love, get hurt too much. I One of the videos we were listening to earlier, the guy made a good point. He said you can turn to your Virgo and or Capricorn friend and say, "Hey, I do respect your opinion and I do appreciate your constant um,
Feedback.
feedback."
Yes.
Yeah, but do me a favor. Don't make it, don't do it from a critical standpoint. If you're going to offer me suggestions and advice, make it about the event, not about me.
And the solution.
Yeah, look for the
Like, don't
solution.
tell me what's wrong. Like, let's utilize those
Yeah,
skills
yeah.
to focus on a solution.
If you want to know, so now I've used, okay, so my business partner is an Aries and she has a lot of Virgo placements in her chart. And I didn't even think about this when I started this with her, but we deliver wedding cakes. And so there were times, many times over the years, we both stand back after decorating a cake and I say, "What don't you like?" Because she has extremely good, she's like the finisher.
Hmm.
She can take it all in and it'll be perfect given the opportunity, right? And so I say, "What don't you like?" And then and that is, it's so easy to fix it. You like, it's almost perfect. What don't you like? Oh yeah, that's right. That leaf looks kind of funny, whatever. And then we'll fix it like with flowers or whatever. Um, there's a place for that. Like if you want somebody to help you set up furniture in your house or paint or like dude, take a Virgo with you to Home Depot when you're picking out paint. You want to match some paint samples. You want somebody with a really
A
critical eye.
meticulous eye.
Yeah. Yeah, who has a pretty good they typically have a good sense of decor and and stuff too. So um utilize that. And that's where they're going to thrive. And they love to be helpful. They're the sign of the martyr. They want to be, they want to, what, perjure themselves or martyr themselves for your happiness. Let them use their details and their critical points, critical analytical thinking in a way that's going to benefit everybody,
Mhm.
you know, and then they feel good and you feel good.
Who is the best partner for a Virgo?
They're opposites of Pisces, which always surprised me because the Pisces can get hurt so easily. You have the most critical sign and the most sensitive sign. Um, but given given the right balance and like a stronger Pisces and a less critical Virgo would make a good team because Virgo doesn't need constant companionship. So Pisces can go shut down and just go swim in their little bowl for a day or
In the
two and then come back
dreamland.
out. Yeah, and come back out. And a Virgo doesn't really care because they know that the Pisces is always going to be there. And the Pisces doesn't need to be overly needy because the Virgo is always going to be there, and like that could work together. A Virgo would be a good companion for a Capricorn. Again, it wouldn't be the most exciting relationship, but it would be really, they could be very successful together. Um, like their kids, their kids will be guided in life well. All the details will be taken care of. Um, there could be a little bit of coldness or less emotion in that relationship, but that's okay because not everybody needs that.
Mhm.
Uh, some Virgos can do okay with fire signs, as long as that into if they're an extremely independent Virgo, they could do okay with a fire sign because they're mutable. So if,
Mhm.
like, in a weird way, they could almost do all right with a Sagittarius. And I guess I could apply this to my when I was with a Virgo because I have all my placements in Sag. We actually worked well together because we both like to go out and have a good time together. And um I helped him more than he helped me. I had my shit together. He didn't. And so I don't want to focus on that part. But um we're both mutable signs. And so we both gave each other a break when we needed it. And I'm super self-sufficient, so I don't need very much from my partner. So I didn't care that I didn't want overbearing. And a
Mhm.
Virgo doesn't tend to be overbearing. So they can I wouldn't say Leo, like Leo needs a lot of attention, and Virgo would punish them on purpose to be mean and not give them attention. They'd be really good at that. So there'd be some fulfilling, there'd be a fulfilling like hate relationship
The
there.
loop.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would work. Um, I've seen Virgos and Aries together. That would be an extremely materialistic relationship, but I could see it work. They would be mean girls. They would totally be the mean girls. Like an Aries and a Virgo would get together and they would just bring out the critical, judgmental, funny, catty. Like that would be a winning drag queen combination,
Okay,
like,
yeah.
yeah. And fit and fly like fashionistas. Like that would be, I bet a lot of mean girls are a Aries Virgo placement. So maybe save that for a friendship. You know, I probably that would be, I mean, you could be together, but it would
The
be
Aries
in,
and the Virgo.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would be the tendency to be mean and critical and judgmental of others would be too easy. So a Virgo needs to be reminded that they are lovable, that they don't need to be critical, especially towards themselves, that um they really can shine in, because a lot of them show up like a deer, just these big beautiful eyes, and they're like innocent and um, can be easily hurt, and they're the ones that do the most hurt to themselves. And so it being with a nurturing partner that allows them to kind of come out of their hypercritical shell and not judge them for it on top of them judging themselves, that would be so maybe a Cancer, but it would have to be a really evolved Cancer, because cancers, when they're hurt, are so mean
Very spiteful.
and will just like destroy. They'll like cancel the insurance and cancel every connection between the two under the feet, and pull like the rug out beneath the Virgo, who really needs sustainability and structure, so uh yeah, they're way more delicate than they seem. They're way more fragile than they seem. And so it's best that they're with a partner who is doesn't have the tendency to be too dominating and too destructive.
That makes sense. What is the Virgo's biggest blessing?
The detail oriented, their ability to see every small connection in the big picture.
Mm-hmm.
um they're like my partner, even though it's her other placements are Virgo, as a finisher before something goes out. Like they would be the perfect final read of a menu, a script, a manual. um
You're a book editor.
okay, yes, yes. So if something is going to affect the public on a grand scale, if you have a Virgo view it first, like a lawyer, before it goes out and affects a lot of lives, a Virgo's a really good person for that. So the details, which is no small feat.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
All right, on to our Taurian friends.
Arcturian fans.
Yes.
So, okay, so Taurus is the most stubborn, but also the most whimsy out of all the earth signs.
Okay.
Yeah, so they're Ferdinand the Bull out there in the flower field, smelling the
Mm-hmm.
flowers, loving it, like earthing, grounding, just soaking up the sun, listening to the birds.
They're the hippies of the earth signs.
Yeah. And then that bee comes in and just throws everything off, and they lose their temper, and they are ready to part the earth and destroy everything. Everything can just fall into that crevasse and die. Like their temper is academy, uh award-winning academy, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What am I trying to say? Award-winning temper. Um, they are Dionysus and hedonistic and um abundance. Like if you go to a Taurus's house, it's very soothing. There's a lot of greens and blues and very overstuffed chairs, and it's very comfortable, super inviting. They're ruled by Venus, like Libra.
Mm-hmm.
They're both really good entertainers. Um, they love the finer things in life, and they are definitely more showy than Capricorn and Virgo. So a Taurus is almost like if you take a quarter Leo and put it into an earth sign,
Okay.
because they're gonna show off. They have very dramatic moods and mood swings, um, and big bursts of energy. But really their goal is comfort. They overindulge in everything. Ver, Tauruses have to be very careful about overeating, overstimulating, taking too many drugs, smoking too much weed, drinking too much. They are really good at everything hedonistic. So they that's why
Like
I
the
said,
pleasures of life.
yeah, like Dionysus is the god, eh, one of the gods in the forest who would, like when he's depicted with like all these beautiful maidens around him and
And
wine
wine.
everywhere, and there's some orgy going on in the background, and the lighting is beautiful, and they're in this like incredible gorgeous forest with all this, natural, like the glow is just perfect, so that's a Taurus.
Oh, like that lady from True Blood. What is her
Mhm.
name?
That's she
And
was
she like
Dionysus,
worshiped
yeah.
Dionysus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. um they rule the lungs and the throat, and uh they do love food, and it's interesting. I've seen a lot of Tauruses that are chefs, which Cancers and Tauruses I find in the kitchen more often than not. Uh, but and the reason I bring that up is I worked at a hotel a long time ago, and there's a woman who's actually really famous here in San Diego as a singer. She's amazing. She would come out of the kitchen like after service, and it was quieter, and she would sing in our lobby, just like
Oh.
singing some Billie Holiday song or something. She was amazing. And when I started learning about astrology, I always remembered her as a Taurus because she had this incredible voice and she was a chef. I just see a lot of Tauruses in the kitchen. Taurus is the second sign of the zodiac and tends to take second place. Like they're a really good assistant because they are an earth sign. They're really good with details and being practical, patterns, setting up structure, being reliable. They always show up. They're there. They're the friend that'll always be there for you when you need them. They might be in a bad mood when you catch them, but they'll still show up. They'll still show up. Um, my moon's in Taurus. I have a lot of Taurus traits. I have a wedding cake company. I'm in food. I sing.
Hmm.
um, and I have a bad temper, but I spend most of my time alone, and so luckily I have a talk with myself really quickly and just we don't do that. We're not going there. Um, Tauruses have a reputation of being uptight, and they are, but if they're good, if they have a balanced chart, it's not as bad. They just get irritated really easily. And then when they get into the irritated mode, it's hard to get out. And so then they get crabby and complainy and kind of go into victimhood. Everybody does this, but Tauruses have more of a tendency towards this. And most of it is because they're getting they 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 got up the way they wanted to that day, and they put on the clothes that they liked, and they were in their soothing atmosphere, and they ate some comforting foods. They're good at understanding what they want, and then they go out into the world, and the world just screws that up.
Too
And
many
then it
variables.
Yeah, and then it puts them in a bad mood. So if left to their own devices, like Ferdinand out in a flower field, perfectly happy. When too much input, too much overstimulation, too many people screwing shit up when they shouldn't be, they get stuck in the negative when that happens.
Hmm.
But once they're out of it, fantastic. They make great friends, super loyal, so loyal. My ex, oddly, I don't know, I dated all the earth signs. Like I'm an Aquarius with Sagittarius, like why? But it's probably because of that grand earth trine. So two of my exes in a row had the exact same birthday. That's so weird. Um, they were so fun. Like we went out, we would go out to like restaurants and really enjoy the food, um, get to know the waiters. We would go to the same places a lot because knowing what you're going to get is important. Finding something that you feel is like your bar, and then going back to that because you've been thinking about that item or that meal. Like food's really important to because it's comforting and it's
Hmm.
satisfying. And it's also we we pair fine food with a hedonistic lifestyle and like a high achieving lifestyle if we go out and treat ourselves, and so Tauruses do that. So yeah, we would go to a lot of the same places, um, have just one too many drinks, have dessert when we were already full. It was fun. It was fun. They were both funny. And I never questioned that they loved me.
Hmm.
One of them, I felt like I had to achieve, like, live up to their standards and like constantly get their approval, but that was in me at that time too. So I picked someone like that. But Tauruses do, even with all their hedonistic tendencies and their bad temper, they do hold other people to a certain standard because they are an earth sign and they want their partner to be at a high bar,
Hmm.
and they'll pick someone that has a high bar so that they stay up there too. Because left to their own devices, they have a lot of really self-sabotaging habits. Overindulgence, like I've always had a problem with, I love food. And so the reason I'm successful right now on my fasting, intermittent fasting, is because I'm denying myself what I want and it's working. It's working. Um, so, but I'm it's fine now. Uh, yeah, like Tauruses, they're the least stuck. Okay, they are stuck in their own ways, but they're also, again, the most whimsy. So they will go to an event where they don't know everything that's going to happen. Like a Capricorn and a Virgo would really like to know everything that is expected to happen at this event before they sign up for it. A Taurus is more open to, I'm going to show up and let you entertain me and let the evening unfold because I'm a manifester. I expect to be wined and dined and I expect hedonism and all this other stuff. And so they'll gear themselves towards those type of events and then be really happy sitting in the middle of that party with a rad plate of food and some, like, they'll enjoy watching all of the other stuff happening and be nosy about people's conversations and like, oh, look over there, like getting some gossip and stuff like that. So they'll have a story to share with their over dinner with their
Hmm.
partner or something, and but they're, given the right circumstances, very easily satisfied and happy to just sit there with their glass of wine and their plate of food. They don't have to be in all the conversations. They want to hear them, but they don't need to be the center of attention like a Leo. They could very much sit in the background and observe all of it as long as people keep bringing them food and wine. Totally happy.
They're the adventurous earth sign.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who would be a good partner for a Taurus?
Leo, they'll spend way too much money together. But Taurus is the second sign. They're the assistant. They're the second sign of the zodiac. So they show up to take second place. And Leos are like, hell yeah, we're perfect for each other. You'll look at me adoringly and watch me all the time because Tauruses are possessive and jealous, and so they'll never take their eyes off a Leo. And
And
what
they're
could make a
entertained by the
Yeah.
Leo and they like
And what could make a
entertainment.
Leo happier? And someone never takes their eyes off them. They're like, oh my God, marry me. Um, but they also have both of them have explosive tempers. And so they would just have to be careful with that. There's going to be a lot of silent treatments in that relationship, but it'll still work. But
Hmm.
probably every 5 or 6 days, there's going to be a blowout. And then they both go to their own room and then they make up with like really good hedonistic sex. So that's okay. That's okay. That's okay. Um, or yeah, yeah, like a Leo is probably ideal. It's the opposite of it. My brain just shorted out. Is it a doesn't matter. Usually a lot of times you're opposite, but I don't always stick with that anyway.
Yeah.
Um
Look it
uh
up really quick.
well, you can finding other indulgent type signs.
Oh, Scorpio is the opposite of Taurus.
Scorpio. Yeah. So Scorpio is very secretive, and a Taurus is very jealous and possessive. So I don't have to explain any of why that would be a problem. Um, Now, everything that I explained, I should have said most of that is male Taurus. Female Taurians are typically quieter, laid back, um, wonderful as your assistant. They're the assistant that just doesn't need the attention and that loves to handle the details, loves to idolize the person in charge and get their approval. Um, Loves to be in charge, but doesn't have to make all the decisions. They're given the permission to be in charge. They love that shit. Um, so a Taurus woman could be with a less dramatic personality. Let me see if I'm saying that right. A Taurus woman could be with a Scorpio because it would almost flip at that point if she was seeking a man. Because a Taurus man, Scorpio man, sorry, is also possessive and jealous. And if they get with a if they choose a Taurus woman who doesn't who lives a quieter life, that's gonna work.
Hmm.
But a very dominant Taurus man and a powerful, secretive Scorpio woman, there's going to be a lot of attraction and a lot of arguments.
Hmm.
So if it's two women, it could work as long as one's always the dominant and one's always passive, and they don't tend to switch roles.
A Scorpio and a Taurian
Yeah.
women. Yeah.
And I don't know, I don't think it could work, but it would be rough between two guys, a Taurus and a Scorpio. That's two really big personalities
Hmm.
with a tendency to punish each other and criticize each other and trigger each other intentionally for a reaction. Yeah. So it has its pros and cons. But yeah, no, Tauruses are just that, like if you're looking for that fourth person to hang out with, they're I don't know why I said fourth. They make a great one friend too. But if you're like getting a group together, get a Taurus in there because they're gonna like the outing is going to have some foundation to
It's
it.
gonna enhance your outing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're gonna make sure you're gonna eat, which is important when you go out. You know, they're gonna choose a slightly better place to go. You're gonna drink a slightly better liquor, so maybe you won't be as sick the next day. You're going to have a grounded, loyal friend who's going to make sure that you don't get lost. You know, like a Taurus is a really like um they're a great person to put in position of a group.
Hmm.
I don't know how to say that right. Does that make sense when I say it like that? Like
Yeah.
having a Taurus in a group is a really good decision for success.
It's like the PR of the group, like
Yeah.
the public relations of the group.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're gonna even though they tend to overindulge, they're going to keep an eye on everybody and make
Hmm.
sure everybody's okay.
Like the
And
tour manager
you're going
of
to
the
get, yeah,
group.
yeah.
Yeah.
They don't need all the attention. You can be the stars,
Yeah.
but you're all going to get home. No one's going to get lost. No one's going to throw something in your drink. They will stand up and kill the person that put something in your drink. So that's not going to
Okay.
happen. They'll kick everybody's ass. Um, and they're just a very smart strategic move to have your tried and true Tauran friend who's your ride or die that doesn't need a lot of attention but is going to keep an eye on things and also upgrade the gathering a little bit, you know?
Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Would you say that that would be their biggest blessing?
Uh, they're going to nurture you. I think a Taurus is a really good nurturer when they get out of mm, an- mm, uh reliability is a Taurus's best feature. They're the neighbor that when you go out of town, you ask to water your plants.
Hmm.
They might look through all your stuff while you're gone. But that's okay. That's okay. They're going to water your plants and your pets are going to be taken care of and your house is going to be locked and they're loyal. Loyal. If you don't want your stuff to be gone through, find someone who is so uninterested in others, like an Aquarius. But if you have an open home and you're you're not super secretive, if you're not a Scorpio, then yeah, you're gonna have a having a Taurus keep an eye on things, whether you're the boss and you are busy, you strategically have a Taurus in your as your assistant in your restaurant, whatever it is, to run everything, and you have peace of mind knowing that everything's being taken care of. Yeah. So they're reliable, which doesn't sound sexy, but it is because there's so many other sexy things about a Taurus. Don't worry about it. They're reliable.
Oh yeah, I feel like reliability can be very sexy.
Hmm.
Okay, like that
Reliable.
would be very high up on my list.
Yes.
Like, okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like you can Tauruses tend to get moved up quickly in the jobs that they take. They're known as being dependable. They can overextend themselves because of that. They can they're yeah, they can overextend themselves and that but then they get angry and moody. So the boss, a smart boss realizes that the value that they have in this person that's going to take care of stuff and if they don't push them, it's a well-oiled machine and I think a good boss would recognize that right away.
No.
Yeah. And if you want also like if you want the recipe made exactly the same every time, a Taurus is great for that, which you can apply that term to a lot of different professions. You know, the way you open your store, the way you close your store, a Taurus is going to do that really well. They take pride in doing things the way they're asked to be done, and then as long as you keep telling them what a good job they're doing, they're going to be super loyal. And if you have Tauruses that are exes, you're probably still friends with them. They'll still check in and like show up and want to hear about your life and care. They're probably still peeping on your Facebook from 10 years,
Well,
that you started 10 years ago, that kind of stuff. Yeah. Yeah.
well, any closing thoughts about all of the earth signs?
Earth signs are like what's happening underground, like roots that it can take 50 years for a tree to grow, but an earth sign will establish those roots and put them in the perfect place where they get just enough sun and the right dirt, and they're going to water them and very patiently watch something turn into a family or a business or an empire, or a long-term goal. And they're going to have the satisfaction of working really hard towards those goals and those ambitions. And so yeah, they're like the roots of a tree and then grow, they are earth. Oh, and I made that, I don't know. Uh God, I'm such an airhead. I said earlier to you in a message that earth signs are affected by earth, by Gaia. And so since Gaia is going through changes and splitting into the new upgraded version, that I bet a lot of earth signs have gone through almost like they've recreated themselves and have become a new identity,
Hmm.
like an evolved versions of themselves since they are so connected to the earth. Like earth signs are living the most 3D lives here on earth out of all of us. because they signed up for that. Because they've mastered the earth game. There's no shame in that at all. You can be a very evolved, very conscious, awake thinker, but also still understand that I'm here, so I'm going to utilize all of the tools that it is to be human, and I'm going to do them really well because I understand that I want to be the best human. I want to be the best version of a human. That's why I'm here. So,
So if you're an Aquarius or like a Pisces, you need to go find you some Earth friends.
yeah, you need to find
Okay.
some earth friends. Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
real.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, land the ship and
Yes.
like shut it off and walk
We're
out
here
and
right now,
yeah,
actually.
and go find one of your a beautiful earth being who has mastered the art of what it is to be here and learned how to successfully manage their money and how to buy a house and how to find the best deals on things and how to find quality furniture and clothing and yeah and all that and learn from them, ask their advice.
I'm so glad that I came in with some Capricorn energy because otherwise,
That's what I was saying. You and
we
I would be
I'd
we'd
be
be
on the struggle
dressed
bus.
in we'd be dressed in like silver clothing or clothing that glows in the dark and
Mhm.
at finding raves out in the forest and just happy but overstimulated and undernourished and yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
with great ideas. Yeah. No, we need all of the elements to be the most balanced, you know? And if you're missing, like I have no water in my chart. I think it's like there might be one placement like that almost doesn't even affect me. And don't even remember what that is. Anyway, I don't I have a waterless
I have no
chart.
water in my chart either, except
Yeah.
for that
So
like 2% Cancer and like what we talked about. But
oh
like
yeah,
I have like
that's
no
hilarious.
water.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So when you are missing a completely or almost missing an element, it's important that you keep things around you that element provides.
Hmm.
So I've always been somebody who loves to sit in a bathtub.
Same. Ocean,
Yeah.
beach, lakes,
Yeah.
creeks.
Yeah. Like I like the water at night. Like I like being around the water at night. But I've sat in the bathtub until the water turns ice cold and read books and everything. But I think me personally, that was my Taurus moon being hedonistic. But at least I found a way to bring it in. So
Hmm.
if you're lacking something, bring it in. Um, if you're lacking an element and you bring it in by befriending someone of that element, you have to, well, and especially if it's water, you have to find a place in yourself to be much more compassionate and kind and sensitive and encouraging because they are going to bring their sensitivity and their emotions, and it might be overwhelming and you're not used to communicating that way. But if you observe them, you can appreciate the stuff that you lack, and so that
Hmm.
goes for anything. If you're all earth, you're going to be overwhelmed by a fire sign, but you're also going to be very entertained by them as long as you're in your comfort zone. And if you are lacking air, you're going to be super annoyed by how talkative we are and how we change the subject constantly. And that's okay. So just be prepared for that. And we typically talk with our hands.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
Kimberly, where can everybody find you on socials and book sessions with you if they resonate with your energy and your teachings
mm,
and your ideas and insights and want
um,
to know
I
more about themselves?
I am Queen of Swords for Hire on Instagram and TikTok. You're welcome to message me on Instagram. Um, I at the I have a stand store, and the link is in both bios on my profile page. I have a monthly group activation, which is actually happening this Sunday. I don't know if this is going to be out in time. I have a $33 a month subscription where you can be part of a group. We do a group activation one Sunday a month, and then we have this really amazing conversation afterwards. And the intention is that everyone who is interested participates. You can just listen, but at least you're connecting with other beings who think like you. Because Sage and I, in our sessions, the one thing we hear from almost everyone is, I don't have anyone to talk to. I don't have anyone who I could share these thoughts with, or what I've experienced with. And that's what this group is for. So, and I do activations. I received the very interesting gift of light language, and I use that to do activations so I can help people get out of their own way, get further along, get rid of all of the trauma and ways they've defined themselves up until this point. We can push past through that and help you remember who you are.
Beautiful. And I'm going to be putting all of Kimberly's information in the show notes down here as well. And
In
then
the
Queen
show
of
notes.
Swords for higher for your socials where everybody can follow
Yeah.
you and book sessions with you.
And I have a variety of ways to connect. So
Yeah.
starting at $33 a month. Okay, thank you, Sage. This has been a wonderful 4-part series.
Yeah, I had a super fun time. Thank you. I have learned so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's been great.
And
Learning about the signs really has honestly helped me navigate reality so much better because I have so much more compassion and empathy for other people now. Because I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense. You're this way because,
yeah.
whatever. And we don't, communicate the same way, but that's fine. And then I can pick out people to support me with things for very specific reasons.
Hmm.
Like, oh, you're really good at this because,
Well, and when you put on the lens of the way someone else processes information, you can immediately be empathetic and
Mhm.
compassionate and comprehend and feel or receive the way they do. And then you understand, yeah, how to either navigate the relationship with them, or why they reacted a certain way, or why you said something that you didn't think had any power behind it and it really affected them. Like you can start understanding that a lot easier. And I mean, astrology is as effective as we make it. So everything is where you place your attention.
Mhm.
You and I are fascinated by humans, and so to learn, the more we learn about how humans operate and work and what makes them tick, that's really enticing for us as Aquarians, because we're robots, and so we're learning about the way people feel emotions. And I mean, I know
I'm doing
I,
case studies.
I'm being sarcastic, but there's a lot of truth to it. Like, we're not overly feeling. We are not water signs. So there's nothing about us. We are sensitive, but we are not overly sensitive, and so we have to be really careful that we don't run over other people with our cold analytics. And so, yeah, no, astrology really helps. It
Yeah,
really helps and makes people more you it really, I think it forms friendships.
for
It
sure.
forms it's like the introduction into forming friendships.
Yeah.
And then the truth, if you are going to be able to maintain that friendship.
Yeah, it's good for long-term longevity in just all types of relationships, coworkers, friends, romantic partnership. We are kids.
Hmm.
It really does make a huge difference.
Every single thing that we've experienced up until this moment affects our life and who we are and how we act. But there are certain personality traits that we will always, always, always keep. And astrology has been 99% accurate. So if there is something in someone's personality that just makes it hard for you to be around them for a long period of time, then don't try to form this like really intense relationship with
Right.
them.
Plan accordingly.
But maybe they're fantastic as that role at your job that you need filled, so that you can walk away because you're not good at that, but they are. And so, yeah, that's where yeah, no, I waiting tables and being a bartender, man, I knew what everything that was I was dealing with every time I carded someone. And it made me a really good server. Yeah. So
Yeah,
everyone should be a server at one point in their life. You really see how people, it helps you understand how you treat others.
For sure. I'm right there with you. I've done serving and bartending for quite a while, and I'm like, everybody needs to do this at some point.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yes.
It helps you evolve as a human.
Yeah,
Okay.
very much so. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. This
Yes,
was
thank
fun.
you. And thank y'all for
And
watching
hit
our
us up
show.
and just hit you. I don't even need to say it, but if you are a fan of sages and a follower of sage, you understand her magic and her power and her ability to help you transform yourself into the best version you can be. So one of us is, yeah, one of us is, you're welcome to hit up us both or one and whoever you're drawn to, and we're both here for it.
Absolutely. Well, I love you,
So,
Kimberly.
I love you too.
We love y'all too. Bye.
Thanks for sticking with us to the fourth part of this
Yeah.